Greetings and welcome to Galactic Civilizations III in 2023 here on Explorminate. My name is Trifler. We've had some requests for some new player guidance, and so I'm going to try to give some. This would be for people who have never played the game before, or possibly people who have tried to play the game before and just had trouble figuring it out. So I'm going to start by going into covering some of these civilizations. The Terran Alliance is your typical human faction, and according to Stardock's internal statistics, they say that a vast majority of players prefer to play the Terran Alliance. However, my theory is that a lot of it has to do with people not quite understanding what all this stuff means. So I'm going to try to cover some of that. I'm not going to go over every single one, but some of the good ones, in my opinion, are like, well, productive is a bonus to planetary production, both your colony buildings and your ships. This is actually a percentage, so plus 1 is 10% and plus 2 is 20%. However, they're all not the same. That one happens to be like that, but let's see, where's one now? A lot of these are like 5% for one, and then 15% for the second point. Each of them is a maximum of 2. They can also be negative, -1 or -2. So it's a range from -2 to +2. So like, likable is a bonus to diplomacy, and fast is a flat bonus, not a percentage, to movement. Organized, this used to be called logistics. It might still be in the game, but it's not here. Basically, you have a fleet size, and each ship takes up so many points, and your fleet cannot be bigger than the maximum fleet size. This becomes very important in the mid game, and then it just grows in importance from there. If your fleet cannot, or if the enemy has much bigger fleets than you do, you are, well, you're in big trouble. Okay, then like here we have something like tough. This is just straight up hit points bonus. Economical is credit generation percentage. Let's see, fragile is the opposite of tough. You have penalty to the hit points of your ships. Clever is research. There's something here. Handy is an interesting one. It's going to lower the maintenance cost of buildings on your colonies. I was confused by this at first. I thought it was also your ships, but apparently, according to the text here, it's only your colonies. So keep that in mind. Farmers is food production, and that is not to be confused with fertile. Fertile is your population growth, farmers is your food production. Let's see. So that's like a lot of those. If you want to go into detail, you can go into Create Civilization, go to Traits, and here are all the traits. And you can just kind of read through all these if you want to. Here's positives and negatives. Observant is going to be actually a bonus to your vision range around your ships. Accuracy of your weapons. You can miss in this game. And then these two, be a little careful. First time I read this, I didn't read it right, and I thought that brutal was both invading and defending against a planetary invasion, but no, they're actually separate here. Brutal is the actual invasion, courageous is defending your colonies from invasion. Okay, then we have these abilities down here. These are separate from these traits. Let me go back to the civilizations. So like diplomatic, you've got a diplomatic. This is a diplomatic bonus that's separate from likable, and it starts you out with the ability to build a galactic council. Hopeful is higher morale, so kind of like the morale bonus somewhere. And then the slavers is gives you access to the slaving technologies, which you normally wouldn't have access to. And then conquerors. Okay, so here you're getting better legions. Legions are your ground troops. I believe this is for invasion, but it might be for defense as well. But these are Drengen are very offensive oriented. So you can see they have a huge penalty to trade because they don't care about trade. And then tough here, they have a bonus to their ship hit points. While the Altarians have the opposite, they have a huge penalty to their ship hit points, but they get a bonus to their research. There are actually 3 human factions in the game now. The Terran Resistance, they're a little less oriented towards diplomacy. Their ships get more range right off the bat. Yeah. And then, okay, the Iridium Corporation, these guys are focused very much towards credit generation, both in terms of planetary taxes and trade. They also get traits for that. They start with a freighter and some better trade technology. Trade licenses are like you can. It's a cap on the number of trade routes you can set up, and so with more licenses, you can set up more trade routes than other people. And then you just start with more money. Kryn Syndicate is a very they're like religious spies, so it's an interesting combination. And they do not actually start with the espionage tech, but they are very good at espionage. Whereas the Onyx do start with the espionage technology, but they're actually not quite as good at espionage as the Kryn, in my experience. Yor are synthetic. They're all, I mean, they call them cybernetic. I would say they're actually robots, but lore says they're cyborgs. Their people have to actually be built. So that uses production. I don't know. They used to use duranium, a resource you have to collect, and you couldn't build anybody unless you had duranium. I don't know if that's still the case. I haven't checked it with the latest patch, which was changed a lot of things. Really, it was a big patch. I know the Yor got debuffed in a number of ways, but yeah, I haven't checked that yet. Iconians, they are the only ones that I see that get the accuracy bonus. So their weapons are more accurate, less likely to miss. You can miss in this game. And the xenophobic, you would think this would be a terrible thing, or not xenophobic, paranoid, but it actually is a good one. It gives you free drones, which are they're basically the same as the tiny ships, which are like fighters. And they use your best design. So as you improve your tiny ship designs, either yourself or with the auto designer, these drones will improve as well. And if you have terrible tiny ships, then, well, these drones aren't going to help you very much. So kind of behooves you to make sure you have some decent tiny drones, tiny ships. Anyway, I'm not going to go through all these. I just wanted to cover some of these. Here's the third human faction. They're all a little bit different. Here, all their ships start with more experience. And here's the Korath. They are similar to the Drengen, except they are considered even more evil. They don't want to just enslave people, they want to actually exterminate everybody else, at least according to lore. And they can build these spore weapons. Whether you want to do that is up to you. It's going to make those planets such that you don't want them either. So it's not the greatest thing to do to all the planets. And then, like here, they get dense, +2. This is a good one. Organized and fast. Infertile is, of course, a bad one. Content is good, because then you have more morale on your planets. You don't have to build as much entertainment to keep them happy as other factions do. Now, I will say population tends to be my biggest problem when in the early game. So having one of these infertile -2, -20%, really hurts. The Thalens are interesting because okay, so they don't have the dense trait, but they do get unique technologies, this gravitonic tree, that add to capacity in the same way. So this is something that they get that none of the other civilizations can get. So, you know, if you wanted to, you could create a civilization that had knowledgeable ability here and the dense trait, and you would have more ship capacity than any other civilization you might encounter. But if you just want to play as these vanilla factions, then they don't get to do that. Some of these are from Stardock's version of Star Control, yes. And they imported their pics and animations and stuff. So pretty cool. And then, of course, all these here are from Galactic Civilizations III with new artwork. For those of you who... Oh, I'm sorry. Galactic Civilizations II, I meant. Some are new for Galactic Civilizations III. Okay, that's enough of that. Let's see, why don't we go in with... I guess I'll go with the Terrans, just because a lot of people seem to like to choose them to start out with. You know, this is just artwork, people. It doesn't affect anything other than looking similar to what we would look like. Stat-wise, they're all the same. In that, not that they have the same stats, but you know what I mean. Anyway, next. Okay, so I guess I can cover this real quick. Galaxy settings. When you're setting up a new map, I believe it defaults to medium. So, okay. Let me say, for this memory and CPU cores, you can't gauge this by how the game plays when you start. This is it's gonna get slower as you get into the late game, a lot slower in the late game. So at least until you're a little familiar with it, I would recommend. Well, I mean, if you only have a 4-core, you can't worry about it. But like, I mean, if you go up to huge, no, not huge, gigantic. Okay, immense wants 8 cores. Ludicrous wants still 8 cores. Okay. I wonder if this changes. Anyway. So, like, I have to imagine if you set the AI to a higher setting, it would use more processor power. But maybe it's just giving them more bonuses. I don't know. Anyway, what I wanted to say is you might want to go for something less than what you actually have. So I actually have a 6-core CPU with 2 threads per core. That's why it says 12. So if I go to, say, a 4-core, this will run really well for me. Then, of course, memory is a factor for a lot of things. But for me, at least, the cores are more of a factor than the memory. I guess, let's see, is there a 16? So if you have 16, a lot of people have 16, obviously you don't want to go for something that needs 32. You know. So this is really handy. A lot of games don't have this kind of recommendations. Of course, a lot of games don't get as large as this does. This game allows really large maps. And some games deliberately limit how large their maps can get because they don't want to exceed certain thresholds. But this is great because it actually tells you, and you can make your own determination based on your computer and stuff like that. Let's see, so we'll go normal. You have some shapes choices. I guess I'll go scattered. Now, okay, here you can set things like how common are nebulas, pirates, all that stuff. Victory conditions, I usually turn off the turn limit. If you want to wipe everybody out, you might choose to just turn off everything except conquest. However, it's up to you whether that is giving yourself an unfair advantage, because then the others who are geared more towards winning via influence or research simply don't have the option of using their strength if you do that. Tech trading, you can turn that on and off. No fog of war in your own territory, that's usually on by default. You can turn that off so that you can only see, I think having this off would be like Galactic Civilizations II. Opponents, okay, so like I usually like to take 1 or 2 off of their default settings and then start. Let me pause while it goes through this. Okay, and we're in. One thing I wanted to cover back with those trait things. Okay, so you see how So the percentages are an interesting thing you have to think about. So like for hit points, having 20% more hit points is pretty straightforward. You know, you're going to have 20% more than 30 for this ship here. However, if you look at the weapons here, okay, so if you have a 5% bonus to damage, and your ship does 1 point of damage, that's not going to do anything for you. Okay, so you have to get up pretty high before that will do you any good. 10% is already going to be vastly more useful to you than 5%. But even then, you're looking at needing, it rounds somewhat too, but you're going to need about 10 points of damage before a 10% bonus will do anything and bring you up to 11. Now, I don't remember exactly, but I think it always rounds up. But it's been a while since I checked on that. Anyway, there are limits to what I'm saying. So let's say if you're looking at your traits, you're going to want to balance out what will be more useful. If you can get up to 25% or 30%, then you're really talking, because even though you start at low numbers, just even in the mid game, those numbers start going up fast, and then that's when those percentage bonuses start to kick in. In the very start of the game, they don't really do much of anything, so don't expect them to give you an early game leg up. Alright, so we started here. The Terran Alliance is kind of unique in that you always start with a planet called Earth, and you always start with a planet Mars in your system. That is colonizable, but not a great planet. This game does have resources, more than Galciv 2. Here you can see it's got a xanthium deposit on the planet. There are deposits in space and on planets. They kind of do the same thing, but they're mined differently. Here's Earth. They do use a map of Earth, although the arrangement of the hexes is random. We've got a Promethium stone. This is what arable land looks like. In Galciv 2, you could build anything on these hexes, but you only got a bonus with farms. In the Galciv 3, I don't think it was this way when the game came out, but as it is now, you can only build a farm on these hexes. You can never use them for anything else. Just keep that in mind. Your capital city, it provides 1 level bonus to whatever you put next to it. I should go into adjacency bonuses. Adjacency bonuses are very important to Galciv 3. All the Galciv games. So the capital city will give you an adjacency bonus level of 1 for pretty much anything, but most everything else is different. So here we have a random hex bonus that will provide +2 for our research. So if I go and I place a colonization center, see, we get a bonus from the capital, but we don't not get a bonus from here. However, if I change it to the computer core, which provides research, now we're getting 2 from this precursor archive and +1 from the capital city for a total of 3 levels of bonus. So instead of getting 1 research point per turn from having this, we would get 4. So that's obviously 4 times more powerful. Now, most of these buildings are percentage based, like the industrial, or not the industrial center, the factory, which we don't have yet, is percentage based. These 1 per player things are flat production for the industrial center. All construction means it affects both buildings and ships. Some things will say social production, which is just buildings, or ship production, or ship construction, which is just ships. The administration center. Okay, this is similar to the capital in that it provides a bonus to most everything next to it. You can see here it actually boosts the level of the capital itself. Not many things do that. I don't even know if that does anything, because you see there's no section on here that talks about bonus levels. Like here it says you get +5 influence growth per level. So that may not actually do anything. Not quite sure. Anyway, so I would probably put a computer core here. If I was building it right now. If I was building it later, there's a lot more stuff you get. Here we have a tourism bonus. We don't have a tourism building right now. So if you were playing as the Drengen, or Drengen, however you pronounce it, then you might not even want to put a tourism building here, because it just doesn't matter to you. But it's there if you want to use it. And we can, I suppose we can imagine it's the Grand Canyon. And, but this is random. These bonuses are random. This one, Prometheus Stone. Okay, yes, it is the actual resource. So if you mine this, it will add the resource to the top here. Here, so we've got ship construction and social construction. If you go to Govern Planet, you can actually decide, or did they get rid of that? It's not there now. Either it's gone or you have to unlock it. But you used to be able to slide between these two. I won't say anymore since it's not there now. Alright. Oh yes, I want to get the industrial center. +2 to wealth, so if I had a market or a bank, something like that, then I would definitely want to put that next to this. I guess I'll build this here. It's not the best setup because I can't put like a factory next to it again. I'm boxed in here. But you are limited by what the planet gives you. So you definitely have a deep incentive to have certain planets specialize. If you have a planet that's really good at production, a planet that's really good at research, for example. There are lots of planets that are extremely populated with arable land. So you can use those to produce a lot of food and use your other planets to produce a lot of people. There's a lot of things you can do. Okay, the shipyard produces ships. The asteroids. Oh, okay. So asteroids will provide a bonus production to nearby colonies. Excuse me, my throat's getting really dry. Okay, so shipyards. Okay, we start out with the ability to build colony ships, constructors, scouts, and explorers. Not all civilizations start with the ability to build an explorer or a survey ship. This is, Yeah, because I was just playing somebody else and they weren't able to do this. So the ships that can survey can. Do we have any? Yeah, these. This is space junk, but these are all collectively known as anomalies. There are different kinds of anomalies. And if you want to see what's there, you have to have a survey ship or a ship that has a survey module. These scouts or explorers can reveal what's underneath the fog of war, but they cannot survey anomalies. But these are not only more expensive, but the survey ships require an administrator, and I'll go into that a little later. You have a limited number of administrators. You can see up here, we have 3 available, one being used by our existing survey ship. You can increase this max, but you can never exceed what you have available. Constructors are used to build a starbase. They can also build a shipyard, but your colonies can also build a shipyard on their own. Either way. But the starbases can only be built by one of these constructor ships. In previous versions, you needed a constructor for each starbase module. That is no longer the case. You just need one to build the initial starbase now. Okay, so resources. I'll talk more about resources when we find some. Okay, so you start with these 2 exploration ships. So what I usually do is set them to explore. This is the same for any faction civilization. Some will start with the colony ship, some will not. Now this is an actual survey ship. It's unique in that it's a medium hull, which we don't actually have the ability to build right now. But all the factions start with a medium survey ship. So you want to... Initially, this is your most powerful ship, and it's the most powerful ship you'll have for quite a while. So I'm going to set it to survey instead of explore. And then we're going to build a constructor. And I guess we'll see. We start out with 5 pops. Let's see, it doesn't tell you what they represent, but anyway, 5 pops. Out of a maximum of 10, your homeworld has a higher population cap initially than any other colony you will get. Other colonies can certainly exceed your homeworld, but they won't have that initial bonus. So I was saying before that population is normally my limiting factor in the early game. The reason is because colony ships require now a minimum of 1 pop. You can't do 0.5 pops like you used to be able to. So I can't... If I take even 1 colony ship, I'm taking 1/5 of my planet's production away. And so... and even then, that can colonize a maximum of 4 planets before I don't have enough. And if I did that, I wouldn't have enough people to reproduce very quickly. So usually, 1 or 2 is all I want to do at the early outset. However, there are certain things you can do, like with ideology, if you're going for benevolent, and I'll go into ideology later, but benevolent, there is an option that will give you a free colony ship full of colonists. And then there is a random pop-up that is unfortunately just random, where you can get a colony ship. Okay, so let's go into research. Okay, so the humans get an actual human here. Most of the Civilization/factions have a robot. And there are like 2 different robots that they all share. And that's just a little unfortunate, but that's fine, I guess. You have the next techs in the tree that are available to you are listed here, but I usually like to go to the tech tree itself. You have 4 different, I guess, branches, you can call them. So you've got colonization here. This is going to give you more advanced colony buildings, or even new colony buildings. So like colonial administration will unlock the factory, which is what I was mentioning earlier. That gives you a 5% per level bonus. So if you have 10 construction points per turn, then if you can get this to 10%, you will have 11. And so on. These stack very nicely with adjacency bonuses, so if you can get 3 of them, such that each one is touching 2 other factories, you get the bonuses go up pretty quick. And then if you go over here, you get different levels, like the factory can advance to Xeno factory, and then it provides more bonus per hex. So this is a good one to start out with to give you the factory. It also unlocks the city, although you can't really use the city for a while. I mean, it depends on who you're playing, how you're playing. I guess you could get it up fairly early. Main thing is you have to build a farm first, and so to get a farm, where's the farm? Here. Okay, so you have to get this before you can build a farm. So you actually can't build a city until you get this. So I guess I would have put the city here, but whatever. This also gives you an administrator at the top of the screen. So this is a good one to get early. Another one would be like artificial gravity here. This is good because mainly because it gives you +1 moves to all your ships for free. They don't have to be refit or anything. So like this exploration ship has 9 moves per turn. You can move 9 hexes per turn. After researching that tech, it would have 10. Likewise, this one goes from 8 to 9, and so on. And just the way they are, even if they're far away, they automatically get that. And then, of course, you're moving towards actually getting better engines. Now you start out with the hyperdrive module, which is adds 2 moves per module at the cost of 8 mass per module. So you can get the hyperdrive plus pretty quick. However, I noticed it isn't actually any faster. It's still 2 moves. The advantage is that it's 8 mass. Okay, on here it's showing the same mass, but when I actually researched it, it was lower mass. So my understanding is it's supposed to be I'm going to say lighter. It's not, mass isn't technically weight, but I guess it's lighter in mass than the regular hyperdrive, but it isn't actually any faster. In practice, it really is kind of useless now, because by the time you get on a tiny ship, a little bit less mass isn't going to be enough to let you add another module. And once you get larger ships, you're not going to be using the hyperdrive plus anymore. You're going to be using the ion drive. But anyway, that's how that works. I thought I'd mention it in case people were like, hyperdrive plus, let's get it. Yeah, not that useful. Interstellar sensors, however, are very useful. You want your exploration ships to have a larger field of view. Spatial manipulation is not. I mean, okay, so this is cool, but it's not an early game thing. You would build, hypergates. You build these and you travel between them, type of deal. It has a unique ship to build them, kind of like a construction ship, but all it does is build the hypergate. Space elevators. This provides a bonus to ship construction. Well, it says, just ship construction. But it does have an adjacency bonus to all construction, so that's why I was a little confused. But the actual bonus of the building is space construction. Here with cargo holds, you get a ship automatically that it's a freighter, but you send it to one of your own colonies and it delivers production points. Orbital manufacturing gives you the small hull, which is something very valuable to get fairly early on. So now, what I'm saying is, okay, so colony, you either want this one or this one, because this one will give you more movement for these ships to gather anomalies to explore. And the other one will allow you to build factories, which may or may not be useful to you depending on your planet. Like here, if I had an open hex here or here, I would absolutely want to put a factory next to this industrial center. For the adjacency bonuses, it would provide a bonus. Not only would this industrial center provide a bonus to the factory, but the factory would also provide a bonus to the industrial center. But I can't do that, so I don't know. Not the best option there. Warfare, you don't want to do this right off the bat. You don't need to fight right away. You will engage pirates before too long, but you want to do something else first. Universal translator, okay. You need this in order to talk to the other civilizations. Otherwise, they just display gibberish. This also gives you the entertainment center, so you can boost the morale of your colonies. For example, we have 61% approval on Earth right now, right off the bat. So we're only at 5 of 10, so we're not even at max, so definitely have to have some entertainment on Earth to keep things optimal. We have 2.94 unrest. Certainly don't want too much of that. The way you counter that is by building the entertainment buildings or approval buildings. There are other kinds, but similar. Okay, so I think I'm going to go for this one for the bonus movement because for the reasons I explained already. Okay, we don't have access to any of these yet. Artifacts. This screen will display any artifacts you have under your control. I'm not sure if I think it might display ones you've discovered as well, but anyway, they're much more common on planets than they used to be. In fact, more colonies tend to have something than not. Next turn. Okay, you can see here our borders expanded. That's due to influence. They expand just completely automatically, but how fast they expand is based on how much influence you generate at that planet. If we had Mars, they would combine their influence for this area. let's see. You can also build space stations, which help grow influence. Okay, so here we can see we found a relic. These are just, they're kind of like these bonuses on planets. Like here we have a bonus for research, 20% bonus to research, potentially. Depending on, well, anyway, it's the same idea. You get a bonus to manufacturing, production, construction points. If you have this, you have to have a starbase though. And one thing about the starbases is you can't have two starbases overlap. So if I chose to build a starbase somewhere over here to harvest this relic, I could not also build another starbase, a military starbase next to it. And so on and so forth. And then here we have, there are these regular anomalies, space junk, and here we have a defended anomaly. These, you can't actually get these until you get a stronger fleet. Okay, we found the bazaar. There's one, well, there's the bazaar. I think there are, depending on the size of the map, there can be multiple actual stations on the map that are called bazaars, but they all go to the same place. And so we'll go in ahead. Yeah. Okay, so the bazaar only sells mercenaries. Oddly enough, they don't sell any goods or anything. And so it's more like a job or a hiring board than anything else. You're going to see the ships that you're able to hire right away shown in color. The grayed out ones are missing something. In this case, you can see they need resources. This one needs thulium, this one needs durantium, this one needs antimatter and durantium. This one only needs credits, that's why it's available. These are all ships that have some sort of unique bonus that your ships don't get. They're also, well, at the start, they're all more technologically advanced than you are as well. They won't always be that way. So like this one here. Okay. This is actually a cargo ship, unarmed. So it's not going to be doing any fighting, but it has a 15% manufacturing bonus to any planet it's stationed at. So you would just hire this guy and park him in orbit of your homeworld and basically never move it, unless you've decided to put it on another planet. But it's not going to be part of a fleet or anything like that. I will say, if you do this, you want to defend it, because pirates will come and attack, and then you'll just lose it because it has no weapons. Mercenaries cannot be replaced in any way. They cannot be hired again. They cannot be built in your shipyards. And they are unique. So if I hire this mercenary, none of the other players can hire this mercenary. And if this mercenary dies, they still can't hire that mercenary. Okay, so here's another interesting one. Here, this is just a colony ship. And you might think, why do you want to hire a colony ship? Well, it's because it's capable of colonizing extreme worlds. Now, there is a tech you can research to colonize extreme worlds, but if, say, in the first few turns you find an extreme world that's really great, you might decide to hire this one so you can grab it and before somebody else gets it. And then you can focus on colonizing planets that you are capable of colonizing on your own. Also, these are sorted in order from tiny hulls to small hulls to medium to large, and so on. What else here? A lot of these other ones here are combat oriented. Like this one has a whopping 15 beam damage, but it also gets, well, it provides a 50% bonus to all the ships in your fleet. So if your fleet is, if you're really going for beams, hiring this mercenary and putting it in your fleet would be well worth it. However, it does take 4 Illyrium, so you have to get that before you can do that. Here's another planetary bonus ship. Provides more morale points, so you can build fewer entertainment buildings. However, if this ship was destroyed, your planet might immediately go into revolt. So you might want to provide some entertainment at least. Here we have influence ship. This one just has stronger hit points, and so on and so on. You can read these on your own, but you know, a lot of these are either providing a planetary bonus, a fleet bonus, or they're just great combat ships for their size and tech, or I'll say for their size anyway. Oh, like this one's a survey ship, so if you wanted another armed survey ship, you could get this. Because you won't be able to build a ship like this for a long time. You can build small, unarmed survey ships, but you're not going to be building a medium ship with an assortment of weapons on it. Alright, so let me advance the turns. You can see they just automatically go gather those. And on the main map we can see the exploration ships are really moving around. One thing I want to check here. Okay. So it has 9 moves and 4 sensor range. If we go into the shipyard, you can also just double click. We can go to ship designs and we can look at the scout. We can see, okay, so this design has a hyperdrive. So the default move is 7 for this hull, and then we're getting 2 to make it 9 from this hyperdrive. And then we have 3 life supports, so it can get the range up to this 3750. So what I don't like is that it doesn't have a sensor. So we can do, you could do new design, but I'm going to do use design. And then you start with this design and work from there. Let me see here. Let me check something out. Okay, I was confused because this design does not actually match the one we were looking at. And that's because it's not the same. Alright, so if we double click on the ship here. Okay, this ship has sensors on it. And 2 hyperdrives, so it's actually better than we can build right now. Okay. So if we build one now, we will only get sensor range of 2 and 7 moves. And looking at the design, the only way this will fit the sensor is if we remove the engine, and that dropped it down to 5 moves. So not really worth doing right now. So hopefully we can improve that. That's one reason. Oh, why are you? Oh, shoot. I guess when I clicked on this, it kept researching that. That was my mistake. Okay. So let me advance a few turns. I'll be right back. Okay, we finished artificial gravity. So now, before I do that, if we go into here, Scout now has 8 moves, so it gets that +1, and it'll be the same for everything, gets +1. Also, these ships get +1. So now for next thing to research, I could do space elevators, but really getting more ship construction isn't what we need right now. So we need entertainment. So I'm going to do universal translators. Okay, random event. It's a good idea to decide whether you want to focus on benevolence, pragmatic, or malevolent. Ideology, I'll show you that in a moment here, if I can. But apart from choosing which tree you want to go down, you would look at the bonus you get. So this isn't a big one because it's only for 10 terms. There are lots of permanent bonuses, and that's where your decision is much more important than this one. I think we'll go for benevolence as the Terrans here. We don't have enough yet, so I can't show you. The Bazaar. Did I want to? I don't. Yeah, I'll hire this one. Okay, so put you in orbit and just sit there. We finished the construction ship. Okay. So we want to quickly review our space. Okay, so we have thulium, we have prometheon, we have an ascension crystal. The ascension crystals are kind of like these relics, except instead of providing a bonus, they provide points towards winning the game. If you have the ascension victory, then capturing and holding these, it's kind of like a capture the flag type deal. There are a number of these throughout the map, and you have to get more points, reach a certain number of points before anybody else. Otherwise, you would lose the game if they get there first. However, if nobody bothers with these, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't give you any resources or research or anything like that. However, if you build a mine here, you can build the module that the station module that mines this on a mining station, so you don't have to choose one or the other. And here's the bazaar we found. Here we have 2 thulium together, and then what else do we find? Prometheon. Wow. And so when we started the game, there was an option to choose how many resources you wanted scattered around. You can adjust that if you don't want to just leave it on the defaults. What I'm not seeing right now is Durantium or Illyrium. Anyway, so Did we need that? Okay, we need Prometheon to build this. Okay. Well, why don't we go get this amazing 3-in-1 areas? Because that just never happens in my experience. But we do also want to get thulium. If you play as the Drengen, thulium is very nice because you usually build a lot of mass drivers, and mass drivers benefit from thulium. Okay, so research. We got the translator. Oh, we can get the bank. I guess we'll do that. So we can do the entertainment center. Wish this was an approval bonus instead of... It says +1 to approval. Why doesn't it? Oh, an adjacent bonus. Guess we'll take what we can get. Go for that. Shipyard. We haven't found... Can click on here to look at all the planets you've discovered. This can get really long though. So these numbers over here are the number of actual buildable hexes on that planet. And then it tells you like a general idea of what it's like. Now notice this has an artifact on it. This has a resource of hypersilicates. So it doesn't tell you everything here. You gotta either look at it like this, or you can click on it and wait. Give me one I can see. Okay. So anyway, I think it's time to build a colony ship. We met somebody. Okay. Nothing to discuss. All right. You can see our borders keep growing. Oh, and if you're wondering what those anomalies this survey ship is finding, you can look at what they found. Usually each one gives that particular ship more experience and often money. Sometimes something it used to be that you would get a lot of ship upgrades. That doesn't seem to happen so much anymore. But you can see with their experience, they are now 33 hit points. But anyway, what I'm trying to get at here is that it is better to gather experience with this ship than, say, one of these buildable survey ships, because this one actually is armed and is a medium ship compared to an unarmed small ship. Gaining experience on an unarmed ship doesn't really do anything. Having more hit points is useless if it just dies automatically. And also, if you get enough experience, I Last time I played, you would also eventually get more damage from your weapons, although it does take a lot. So oh, leading colony ship. Okay, so you can see we're going from 5 to 4, and then the 0.11 is what's grown in the turns since we started. This does not go any... See, it will go actually in increments of 0.1, but it won't go below 1 anymore. So... Okay, so getting to smalls is pretty important, but you do have to do, and then like getting to ion drive is very valuable, but it's a long way to get there right now. Let's pick up the factory. Okay, so we now have this bonus, so we should be getting a lot more research. Yeah, 16.6 now. Okay, Galactic Council is a unique... well, it's not unique, but it's... it was one of the bonuses the Terran Alliance gets, is the ability to build this. It's a galactic achievement, so you can only have one per galaxy, but this provides influence growth. So if you wanted to generate a lot of influence, that's a good way. The Import-Export Center. This is a new building. Paxton's Emporium. Let's go ahead and get this up, and then we'll be mining that, and we'll get, well, then we can put a bank around it. Oh, this, oh, okay. So that's an excellent place to put that. So I think we'll go for Paxton's Emporium over here. Alright, that'll keep them busy for a while. I do not want to build any more of these. Well, I'll build another constructor for now. Alright, so... Oh, and also I forgot all about building some little asteroid mines. There is a lot of Promethean in this galaxy. You normally don't see that much. Or else it's all concentrated in my area of space. Okay, now we're going to build the starbase. Okay, so it starts out with light armaments now. They used to start out with no armaments at all. They do cost maintenance. So you can see there's 2 Promethean in range. So we want to build a mining ring. That will enable it to mine. And then I'm going to boost the defenses for 100 credits. Oh, they built to Starbase 2. Oh, and I didn't even... Oh, man. I messed up. This should be here. Then it would get all 3. I think I planned on checking that before, once it got there, and then I just didn't, because I'm recording a video. So, okay. So let's add another constructor, and we'll mess with that. Okay, new citizen. Okay, citizens are interesting. Basically, you get a citizen periodically, and they provide a bonus in the area you choose. You can leave them, they provide a small bonus if you leave them globally, or you can assign them to a specific colony, and they'll provide a large bonus on that colony, but you lose the global bonus. So scientists as research workers, production administrator will provide you with more administration points. This is one of the only ways to really increase that, at least in quantity. Okay, so now we finished up something. I'm going to go into I guess we'll do militarization now. Finish it up. And we colonize Timbuktu to first colony. When you colonize a planet, there is pretty much always an event of some sort. Okay. So here you can see you have 3 ways you can go. The top one, we're going to get a module that can be put on a ship, and it's going to envelop surrounding ships. Second one, we're going to get 50% shield strength to all ships. This is just going to be a flat bonus. Kind of like an HP bonus, but no, this will be to shield strength. And then last one is going to just be a single ship component. So I'll try the top one. And here's our new colony. Again, it's random based on the planet type. Okay, so we want to go with probably a factory or something. If you're at 100%, there's no point to start out with an entertainment center. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a factory here and then build another factory there. Oh, wait. Okay, that doesn't work. Maybe something like a space elevator would work, because that's specifically ship construction. So we'll leave the factory here and wait. Okay, so now we're at the point of the game where everybody has to choose their first government. Your first one, you got to choose between colonial and imperial, and it's mostly about whether you want to let's see, like this one. Okay, you have to deal with elections, right? But you get a couple of minor bonuses and no penalties. This one, you have a diplomacy bonus. You get better ship construction, more moves, and a higher colony limit. You don't have to deal with elections. I mean, not a huge deal right now, but later you can see you can unlock a ton of different government types that provide different bonuses. Generally, you would see good or benevolent civilizations choosing colonial, but not always. The contracts thing can be a big deal. So now that we have contracts available, I can show you. Right now there's not much to speak of, but we've got this treasure hunt. So you're spending construction points. Like if your shipyard isn't doing anything, you can have it do these contracts. And then it will, in this case, it will give you a random bonus. I think that's kind of like the things our survey ship's been picking up. So we've now researched this space rocket. So we can go into here. Okay, you can see it just has one rocket and one life support. It's going to move at 6, so it's very slow. It doesn't have an engine. It's not going to highlight it, huh? Okay. Anyway, these are the missile or the rockets right there. There's only one, and it's mirrored. It's not two separate ones. And that's generally your starting fighting ships. It's just a tiny ship with a single rocket on it for one missile type damage. But what you would want to do is create a fleet of them. Okay, so let me actually build one or two. I'll take the treasure hunt out. We can see more things are available in the bazaar because we've mined some more resources. These are ships that use Prometheon. +3 to the area of effect of any starbase. That could be very powerful in some situations. Okay, here we go. Ideologies. We have 2 points available. Alright, so there's the benevolent, pragmatic, and malevolent. Each has 4 rows with 5 options. You have to unlock them in order. So, for example, here, this is going to give us a fully loaded colony ship. And but what this does is this whole row is all about, like, all new colonies start with 2 extra population. Very cool. Each colony receives 1 additional tile. And here you find a you just find a class 16 planet that you can colonize. Otherwise, the next row here, this row is all about approval. Generating approval, resisting other people's. This one's all about influence, generating influence. And this one's all about research. However, you'll notice, like here, the Temple of Enlightenment, this is going to give you more benevolent ideology points every 5 turns. So if you get this or this over here every 10 turns, you are less reliant on colonizing more planets to get more ideology points. Pragmatic is going to be more like this one's a penalty to people who are at war with you. Here you get 3 free construction ships. This was a super useful one before when you needed to build each module on your starbase. Now it's less useful, but it's still cool. This one's about trade. This one's about yeah, anyway. So that's how that works. Lots of good stuff you can get. I guess I'll take the colony ship. Oh yeah, let's do this one. Okay, so now we've got, oh, we just did that, right? Okay, what I wanted to cover, just a sec. Let's send you over here. Where is it? Head over here and we'll see if we see it. Okay, research. No, that's not what I wanted. So I want to show logistics and I want to show transports. I'm probably gonna have to do that in another video. This is way long already. Okay. So in another, I guess I'll have to just tell you about it. In another video, or another game, I should say, I had this particular mercenary here around my home planet, and 2 pirates came and blew it up. And then I built 2 of these crummy bombers, and they attacked, destroyed 1 of the pirates, but they lost because the pirates are better. And so then, but the pirates are using beams. So the next thing to do here is, rather than trying to get some of these weapons over here, you are far better off getting some defenses. So just adding a deflector to the ship will, well, it actually made it invulnerable in that case because their weapons were so weak. So let's go into here. Stellar bomber. Okay. So we would take off the life support module here for 3 mass, and we have 2 mass free, so that would give us a total of 5 mass. And slap on the shield, the deflector. here. And that's a vastly better design than the one we have right now. Likewise, if you're fighting somebody with missiles, you would want to add the point defense module, and so on and so forth. These unique ships you don't get unless you change to that government. So you would have to change to the Emergency Coalition government to get that, which is not going to happen real soon because you have to wait 26 turns to even change your government. And you have to also unlock the requirements. Here it is over here. Okay, so I've got 2 of these starter ships now. You can see we're using 2 out of 13 max logistics points. So the biggest the fleet can be is 13. So each of these tiny ships only uses 1. So we could have a maximum of 13 tiny ships in one fleet right now. However, with the orbital manufacturing done, we can now build small hulls. So going in here, you can see it automatically designed a small ship for the same role with missiles. It has 1 space rocket and 3 deflectors. You can see that this ship now has, it has twice as many hit points. It has uses 2 logistics per ship instead of 1. It costs more to build, of course. One thing I've noticed with the auto designer is it tends to go to extremes. It will either build or design with tons of weapons and nothing else, or it will have, in this case, it's got tons of deflectors. But as you notice, there are no engines, there are no life support systems. So these would just be orbit your planet and defend it, and that's all it does, type of deal. It can, if you have colonies around, then it can go anywhere within your borders. Or something like that. I'm falling asleep, sorry. And then, where was I going with this? Oh, yes. Okay. So now, more than importantly than this. Okay. So if you go into the design, can I look at that somehow here? Right. So we know that we have a tiny ship with rockets. Alright, so I'm going to go into ship design a little more here. And so the game is set up on a rock, paper, scissors system with energy, missiles, and kinetic weaponry. So, but more important, there's more to it than that. The missile type weapons have the longest range. The beams have medium range, and the kinetics have short range. At the same time, the missiles fire the slowest rate of fire, and the kinetics have the fastest rate of fire. And then costs vary. Usually the kinetics are the cheapest per module, but do the least damage per module. So you need more modules to do the same amount of damage. And then each has their own corresponding defense. So what you could do once you get going is, instead of just building as many, the advantage of the tiny ships is enemy ships can only shoot 1 target at a time. So if you can't win using hit points, you can win by just making it so they can't destroy you as fast as you can destroy them using tiny ships or smaller ships than they have. That's one tactic you can use. Another is, swarm tactics. Another is to say instead of building all the same kind of ship, you can make one or two or whatever that are like tanks. They're very strong on defense and hit points. You might use a larger hull for that. And then, say, behind them have a bunch of missile ships that fire from long range. That does work pretty well. And then you can have, later on, you get modules for your support ships that provide bonuses to the entire fleet, but maybe those ships are not very strong themselves. They're just there to boost the fleet. You can have those in there mixed in, and of course you want to mix up your weapons based on your opponent. So if they have a lot of point defense, you might want to switch away from missiles to beams or kinetic. And of course, if they're focusing on you with kinetic, you probably want to add armor to your ships. A big thing I do with the scouts. Okay, so like one thing that's neat about this game is when you make a design, it's not just saved for this game. If you start a new game with the same faction, that design will still be here. It won't show up until you have the right tech to be able to build it, but it is saved. And so one thing I like to do is make a scout that has an engine, a life support, and a sensor. Now, I don't believe we can fit one with our current tech for the Terran Alliance, but I like to make one when I can. That works very nicely. Right now it only has a sensor range of 2, so it's not doing very well for us. Another thing is, as time goes on, the game will add more. The auto designer always wants to fill up available space. How do I put this? It used to be a thing where, well, it kind of still is, I guess. You might want to do something like create a design where it's just a colony module and 1 or 2 life support and an engine, just to keep it simple, keep it cheap. And same with the colony ship, all these. It will start making stuff that just costs so much because it's got 9 or 10 life support systems or whatever, and it just goes crazy. So making a cheaper version is good, but also you don't want to necessarily have something with no life support. Then it's not going to do you. It's just too inflexible that way. Explorers, I wouldn't necessarily do too much with this small hull, or this tiny hull, or even the small hull. I might wait for the medium hull. It depends. You gotta also weigh that against, once these are gone for the whole map, there's no longer point in having a survey ship, so there's that. Anything else I want to mention? I mean, a lot of it is just trying to make something that will work in a given situation. one thing you might want to do is make a jack of all trades that has a little of all the weapons and a little of all the defenses. It's going to suck at everything, but it's going to not be very good at any of them, but having even one module in each of these defenses makes such a huge difference versus having none. That is one of my gripes about the system, is that it's so easy to have your extremely expensive high-end fleet just get wiped out because they didn't have the right defenses or the right offenses versus the opponent. That is one thing I have to give credit to Endless Space 2 for doing. Is Endless Space 1 had this pretty much the same idea. They had 3 weapon types. I think the same weapon types: beam, missile, and kinetic, and the same 3 defenses. And I didn't like it. It was such a mess. You would always lose your fleet because they would just encounter something they didn't have the right stuff for and just get blown up. And, it wasn't... Anyway, so Endless Space 2 changed it so that there are now 2 weapon types. There's kinetic, which includes both guns and missiles are both considered kinetic, and then they have beams, energy weapons. And so the so now you have 2 defenses, right? So you got armor and shields. And at the same time, they also made it so that not having the right, so that armor or that shields are still partially useful against kinetic weapons. They're not completely useless. And so now, even though you're at a disadvantage for not having the right stuff, if your fleet is sufficiently strong enough, you can brute force a win. Whereas I feel like in this game, you really can't. Unless, it's more of an extreme. Let's put it that way. But so you got to know who you're fighting and build your ships accordingly. The auto build will go for whatever you are furthest along in. So we have been building missiles because that's what you start with here, space rocket. And it's using deflectors because that's what you get. Well, no, wait, it's using deflectors because that's just the first one listed. So if I research armor, right, it will auto-update all the designs to use armor. It does not leave the old design. They're just gone. Later on, it does make some mixed designs, but it's all kind of, I don't know. So it's good to make some designs that fill certain roles that you find you want to have. You have to get a feel for it, and then you can save those designs and mostly use the auto build designs, but you fill in your designs in those special roles. And like your frontline tank, you might want to make that one of your designs and then use their auto build missile designs in the back for that particular tactic. You might want to have a scout, like I was mentioning earlier, and just save that design. Maybe one that has an ion engine later. So anyway, I hope that answers a lot of questions. Feel free to leave questions in the comments and I'll try to answer. And we'll see if Rob wants another video. I'm not sure what I would go over, but we can certainly do that. All right. So thanks a lot. Everyone have a great time and keep exploring. Thank you. Bye.